The situation in the Middle East is alarming. This includes several interconnected theater conflicts. In Gaza, Israeli intense ground operations and fighting between Israeli forces and Hamas and others continued in most areas. Hamas and other Palestinian factions continue to fire rockets from Gaza into Israel. Civilians from both sides, particularly in Gaza Strip, currently continue to bear the brunt of this conflict. The humanitarian situation in Gaza continues to deteriorate. I reiterate the Secretary General's call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. The implementation of the Security Council Resolution 2712 will be reported next week pursuant to Security Council Resolution 2720. The risk of regional spillover of this conflict with potential devastating consequences for the entire region remains high, given also a multitude of actors involved. The continued daily exchange of fire across the blue line poses a grave risk to regional stability. Increasingly, there have been strikes on civilian areas with civilian casualties on both sides of the blue line, in addition to rising numbers of fatalities among combatants. While most of these exchanges have been contained to areas within a few kilometers either side of the blue line, there have been several instances of strikes deeper into the territories of Lebanon and Israel, raising the specter of an uncontained conflict with potentially devastating consequences for the people of both countries. With the risk of miscalculation and further escalation increasing as the conflict in Gaza continues, it is vital that all actors immediately de-escalate and return to a cessation of hostilities under the framework of Resolution 1701. Attacks on US bases in Iraq and Syria take place now on a daily basis, with the US conducting some airstrikes against groups suspected of this action in Iraq and Syria. There are also reported Israeli airstrikes inside Syria. The continued Houthi threats to maritime navigation in the Red Sea is of growing concern. It risks exacerbating regional tensions and further escalation, and also has potentially grave political, economic, and humanitarian ramifications for millions in Yemen and the region. This threat also has potential ramifications at the global scale if regional international shipping and supply chains are adversely impacted by further escalation in the Red Sea. The United Nations continue to encourage the escalation and cessation of attacks and threats so that traffic through the Red Sea can return to its normal state and the risk of Yemen being dragged into regional conflagration be avoided. The United Nations underscores the importance of ensuring that international law is respected in full in relation to maritime navigation. We appeal to all members of the international community to do everything in their power to use their influence on the relevant parties to prevent an escalation of the situation in the region. Across the occupied West Bank, heightened tensions between Israeli security forces and Palestinians, intensive violence and widespread movement restrictions have continued. Recent weeks have seen some of the most intensive Israeli operations in West Bank since the Second Intifada. Many Palestinian casualties in the occupied West Bank occurred in the context of Israeli operation in Area A, including some during subsequent armed clashes. Since 7 October, 304 Palestinians, including 79 children, have been killed in the occupied West Bank, including East Jerusalem. Additionally, 2 Palestinians from the West Bank were killed while carrying out an attack in Israel on 30 November. Over 70% of the Palestinian fatalities in the West Bank since 7 October have occurred during ISF operations, including some mainly in Jenin and Tukaram governorates involving exchange of fire with Palestinians.
From breaking news, detailed analysis, in-depth interviews and explainers, follow the Times of India. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like our videos and hit the bell icon to stay updated with the latest.